guys who always gets the job done.
Timeout, 49ers. Montana didn't care for what he saw, and so he stopped it and went to the sideline. San Francisco, Craig trots in motion, and Montana's going to put it up. Has Rathman wide open. He slipped down, but still managed to get a first down.
I think Joe Montana's doing some of this play calling or reading on his own, because that was one of the things he told us last night. He said, you know, I would just like to see us get the ball more to Rathman. He said, I know Roger Craig's a great player and all these other guys, but he said, I think he has done a lot for us, but I think if we featured him a little more, he could even do a lot more for us. And then he came out here and did this today.
Rathman's one of those guys who looks like he lives in his uniform. And he slipped down on that paint again. That part of the field.
Yeah, he's a football player. Almost. You know, when you just look at him, he just looks like a football player. With the kind that comes to training camp and has the, you know, the shoes tied over his shoulder. And
right, he looks like he's still got them in there.
Yeah, he has an extra pair of shoes under the shoulder pads.
2nd down and 9.
But I think the 49ers needed some of that, and if you look at the type of day they had, they're almost perfect. No penalties, 1 turnover, only 2 quarterback sneaks. They've only had 10 incomplete passes all day.
It's Craig again. And there's no way that he's going to be tired or ever show any sign of being close to being fatigued.
Yeah, I saw him one time in the locker room with no clothes on, and he is really chiseled out. I mean, he lost 10 pounds, and he is probably as close to the perfect weight for a running back as you can get.
So about 212, 210, something like that. When he was a fullback, he was heavier, and he said he felt like a fullback. Now he looks like a greyhound.
Oh, yeah, and he runs hills, and, you know, he has massages after games and all those things. He really takes care of his body.
That's Rathman for the first down inside the 35. Sean Smith made the stop.
See Steve Wallace here, 74. He's the guy I think that's been doing an excellent job on this 49er team. I think last week against the Vikings he played great. And I think today he's played super.
Well, he said during the week he didn't think that the 49er offensive line got enough respect. Now they do.
He's a guy, when he first started playing, he'd be in a fight after every play. He said he was trying to get respect. Then the coaches have had to really calm him down.
That's Rathman straight ahead, hit by Singletary.
He gets on a block and stays with him. You see him that time blocking Jim Morrissey. Steve Wallace just fires out, gets on his guy, and just keeps driving him. You know, he was from Auburn, and he blocked there for Bo Jackson. But watch him when he gets on a linebacker. He just smothers the guy. I mean, he doesn't just take him a yard or two. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards back he takes him. He's a good player.
Up in his face. Yeah, he is. 2nd down and 5. And off to Craig. Down to about the bare 27-yard line. Stopped again by Singletary.
You know, and I think it's guys like Steve Wallace and John Frank and Tom Rathman, some guys we talked about, that have really changed this 49er team to, you know, these are kind of the spirit guys, the tough guys, the fighters, the guys that are always going after you. And for years, the 49er team was a kind of a finesse team, and they didn't like it. And then with those 3 guys and their personalities, they changed to, hey, we're not a finesse team. We'll get after you pretty good, this group.
Plus, they've gotten so much better on defense. Montana has a man wide open. It's Roger Craig. Craig inside the 10 to about the 5. We we said earlier we'd like to congratulate Sam White. We'd like to do it in person right now. Sam, congratulations to you and the Bengals.
Yeah, I'll tell you, great job, Sam. Not only today, but the whole season, and the comeback and everything that you've done and gone through. You really deserve everything you got.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. It's been a great year.
I tell you, it has been, and you know, and the way that they played in that stadium and not losing a game at home, the guy in that organization deserves a heck of a lot of credit.
This is Rathman touchdown. And Sam White and his Cincinnati Bengals will be playing in the Super Bowl against San Francisco. And Sam will be on, by the way, in our postgame show, chatting with Brent Musburger, Irv, and Dick Butkus.
See, Tom Rathman ran that touchdown in there. The first guy to get in there and congratulate him was his old running back buddy from Nebraska, Roger Craig. Because Tom Rathman has been the guy that has had a block most of the year for Craig. And once in a while, it's nice to get the old blocker a touchdown.
Cofer for the extra point with Young holding. Bengals, of course, eliminated Buffalo earlier, and the 49ers are going to eliminate the Bears today. 6:53 left. Another impressive drive by San Francisco. 12 plays, 70 yards. They kept the ball 6 minutes, 53 seconds. Rathman got the touchdown from 4 yards out.
Start off.
Back at Soldier Field, Pat Summerall, John Madden, and the 49ers in command of this situation and leading the Bears 28-3 with 6:53 left to play. Over to kick off, Wendell Davis deep. Doesn't need to be deep. Here comes the Bear reverse. Stinson on the reverse, still on his feet. Trying to break out of the pack, and finally does. The 49ers fell down, and the tacklers, or those who looked like they had a chance to make a tackle. And footing now is really getting treacherous.
That's the type of play that the Bears were looking for earlier. You know, something to reverse, something to a turnover, something to change the pace of this thing. Starts off to the right, then it goes back in reverse to the left, sees a whole bunch of white jerseys out there, says, whoa, let me get back to the other side and see if I can find something. That's a heck of a lot of running to get the ball just past midfield.
Lemuel Stinson.
Look at poor old Cofer trying to kick that. The trouble he had, you see there was his plant foot.
Yeah.
The left foot.
Tomczak. Complete. Again, let's go down for an update on the weather conditions and what happened to Irv Cross again.
Pat, we're down in the first aid room, which is looking at right now is a young lady from the Highland High School marching band who's getting treatment on her tender feet right now. And the lady who's in charge of the first aid room down there is a registered nurse, Priscilla Hallberg. Priscilla, how many cases have you had today?
30.
And what's been the nature of the complaints?
Mostly we call it aspirin Band-Aid crowd, headaches and a cut myself, stomach problems or medical problems that they had prior to the game.
Any frostbite problems?
None.
None at all. Sounds pretty good down here, Pat. Cold, but we're doing fine. Pat?
All right, Irv, thank you. Tomczak pass complete to Neil Anderson, a pickup of 13, a Bear first down.
This is going to be a long off season for Jim McMahon. Last year, Joe Montana had to live with that one. Remember when they lost to Minnesota? And was all year, was Steve Young going to start, or was he going to start? Was he finished? Would they trade him? And I could see the same thing being set up here with McMahon.
Intended by Tomczak for Morris, incomplete. Makes it 2nd and 10.
But there is a guy who has done an outstanding job, though, Mike Ditka. I mean, he came into this game, and with everything that he went through, not only personally, he had the heart attack, He lost all those players, you know, through trades, through injuries, and to come up with the best record in the NFC, this was one of the most amazing coaching feats I have ever seen.
And do it with 13 new players from time to time on his roster. Pass from Tomczak to McKinnon is complete inside the 49er 20. A gain of 13 and another Bear first down. Darryl Pollard made the stop. Less than 6 minutes left now.
You can see McKinnon is just running a hook pattern in there against the zone. The Bears are going now with no huddle, trying to get a score here.
Flag on the play. Neil Anderson, the ball carrier. Steve Young, in the meantime, is warming up on the 49er sideline. Larry Roberts made the stop.
I think it was against Steve Van Horn, Keith Van Horn. You can see Steve Young warming up there.
Holding, number 63, offense, first down.
That was against the center, Jay Hilgenberg. I'll tell you one thing, they can argue now, but the game 28-3, there's been very few penalties. I don't know if the 49ers have had a penalty yet.
None.
49ers have had no penalties. There's an ex-nose tackle, I think. I think it was an ex-nose tackle played in the years with no face mask. Oh, no, it's a hat.
It's a cold Chicago Bear. First and 20. Tomczak almost has it picked off by Darryl Pollard under pressure from Steve Cox. Intended for McKinnon.
You know, I think the first half the 49ers jumped out, and then where they won the game was in the second half. You can see they come out in the third quarter, had that big drive. So in the second half, they had 172 yards, and the Bears have gone down. They only had 78. So the thing was still up for grabs, maybe a little at halftime. And then when the 49ers just came over and dominated the third quarter, it was over.
It was 14-3 at the half, and then the 49ers had a great drive. That's Muster inside the 20. A pickup of 9, stopped by Greg Cox. 5 minutes and now less left. The Bengals and the 49ers.
There's a guy who played a heck of a game today, a heck of a game for 2 weeks, Steve Wallace. Old left tackle. You know, old tackles don't get much credit, but sometimes they do.
3rd and 11, and pass complete to Morris. Morris down to about the 11. Stopped by Fuller.
Down by Fuller.
If you're on that sideline, it's cold. If you're on the other sideline, you don't feel it as much.
Oh, no, they'll be throwing everything all over each other in a little while. They have 2 weeks, you know, to get ready. They'll go back to San Francisco for a week, and then they'll go down to Miami. Get ready down there for the Bengals.
What do you think now that Bill Walsh will do?
I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Walsh takes the 49ers to the Super Bowl and then gets his hat, goes off into the sunset.
Plays tennis.
Yep, does something else. I think that Bill Walsh is one of the great coaches in the NFL of all time. And this will be his 3rd Super Bowl. And I think he's at an age 57 years old where he's at the end. He has another year in a contract at $1.3 million. Now, I know that's tough to walk away from. I know his owner, Eddie DeBartolo, said he can coach as long as he wants to. I think it's going to be his decision, though.
And I think that's very important to him. And it is his decision. There's Dan Hampton. 7 knee operations and hurting again. You wonder if he's coming back again after all that pain. And
I think he's one of those guys who's a football player forever. And one of the things that guys were falling down around him, and Dan Hampton was always there. They always have that middle, Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael, Mike Singletary. No matter what was happening, this guy played, and I think that a lot of the credit for the year that these Bears had goes to this guy.
In terms of ability and leadership, the 49ers sent in Steve Young as their quarterback. Harry Sidney, the ball carrier. Stopped by Al Harris.
There was a guy who was a coach of the year, and again, with all those guys that he lost, and you know, and people said he was doing it with mirrors, and I kind of agree. You know, you wonder, I mean, how you can lose this guy and that guy and the others, the injuries and the trades. But they'll be back because they're there now. And you know, the interesting thing is they have 3 first-round draft choices this year, more than anyone. So they have a team that's in the NFC Championship having 3 first-round draft choices next year.
That's Sidney again, and stopped by John Shannon.
Hey, there's my guy. I think it would be the defensive MVP in this game. Look at him. I mean, he's been out there in battle. I mean, he got that right arm, blood coming down there. He doesn't even know it.
Well, we talked to the Vikings last week, and Wade Wilson, you said, what do you think you have to do? He said, I got to find out where 42 and 49 are, and 94. Haley, Lott, and Fuller. We asked yesterday the Bears what they thought. You got to find out where number 49 is.
We got to get it blocked.
They haven't been able to do that. Terrence Flagler, the ball carrier this time. Vesty Jackson tripped him up. Guy McIntyre.
There's Eddie DeBartolo, the owner of the 49ers, in there with the offensive lineman. That's a smart owner. And get down there for the guys that get in the trenches for you. You don't have to go with all those fancy positions all the time.
That was Ricky Ellison. Right there in the red hat and the fur-lined jacket. That's Eddie DeBartolo right there. Here's a guy. The score is 28-3. 49ers leading. But this guy, Singletary, is still just as intense. Flagler was the ball carrier. No gain. Stopped by Morrissey.
And how about Jerry Rice, the guy that, you know, didn't do much for a while when he had that bad ankle, hadn't been very good in the playoffs until last week, and then said, playoffs, I'll show you playoffs. Last week, 3 touchdowns against the Vikings. Today, 2 touchdowns, the first 2 touchdowns.
To break it open. 2 minutes remain now. 49ers in Cincinnati. Rapidly, as the NFC Championship game comes down to the wire. Pat Summerall along with John Madden. Score now with less than 2 minutes left to play is 28-3. Jerry Rice. This is for the benefit of those of you who might have joined us late. 5 receptions, 133 yards. The first 2 49er touchdowns. Joe Montana, an outstanding day under these weather conditions. 17 out of 27, 3 touchdowns. The Bears, led by their captain Mike Singletary, just couldn't get it together.
I'll tell you, you're talking about an MVP. I think that Joe Montana, these last 2 weeks in the playoffs, has put on a quarterback coaching clinic.
He really has.
How to play quarterback. Get the ball to your guys, get rid of the ball quickly, do what you have to win, move.
1 minute and 11 seconds remain now as the 49ers take a timeout. Try to block the kick. Heldon gets rid of it, and as things have gone, it takes a 49er roll. At the 15, the Cincinnati bus is leaving for Joe Robbie Stadium, followed by the 49er bus. And again, a reminder, we'll be talking with Sam Weich after the game is over, or Brent Musburger, Irv, and Dick Butkus will. of Super Bowl 16.
You know, and then everyone remembers as they'll be talking to Bill Walsh in the winner's locker room that Sam Weish was an assistant.
Right.
For Bill Walsh with the 49ers. And of course, that Bill Walsh at one time was an assistant for the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, the first Super Bowl that the 49ers won was against the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's a lot of history there in this one.
It was 26-21 in Pontiac, Michigan. Dennis Gentry, the receiver, the intended receiver, incomplete. That's the first Super Bowl we did. Tonight on CBS, a reminder again will begin in less than a minute. Here's Tomczak. Pass caught by Gentry. Stopped by Michael Walter and Fuller.
One thing about the 49ers and their owner, Eddie DeBartolo, he's learned a lot in a week. Here's Harris Barton, a big right tackle, but last week, Eddie was in the locker room, washed his hands to shake hands. This week, he says, the heck with it. He's down on the field. And he goes in there. He's going to stay dirty for those guys come in. They're going to come in frozen tonight.
Sorry,
they don't
but
care.
That last pass was not caught by Gentry. So it's 3rd down and 10 for the Bears. Tomczak.
This is the old 3-8, three-man line and 8 guys deep.
Gentry, this time it is complete. Clock still runs. Now 30 seconds remain, and the 49ers headed south. We talked last week against the Vikings about who the producers had to be, and the producers have produced the last 2 weeks for San Francisco. Tomczak to McKinnon. Like to do right now with the clock running down is to say to all of you, everybody who's helped John and me so much, thank you for this year.
I'll tell you, this is our last one, and it sure has been enjoyable with working with you again, Pat, as every year, and Bob Stenner, our producer, Sandy Grossman, Richie Zients, the crew, the cameraman, the sound, everyone, because in their own right, they're all first team, they're all Super Bowl teams.
So very true. So the final score, the 49ers 28, the Bears 3. Stay tuned for the NFL Today postgame show coming up next. And you've been watching CBS Sports Show.
We are back at Soldier Field in Chicago. I hear you, Duke. So we're inside. All right, go ahead. Okay. Well, as the San Francisco 49ers are now saying inside their locker room, it was cold in Chicago and the Bears could not put out the San Francisco Fire. And let me welcome the president of the National Football Conference, the owner of the New York Giants, Wellington Mara, who has a presentation to make to Eddie DeBartolo.
Eddie, congratulations to you, to Bill, the great staff, and your great players, not just for today, but for the great season, for all the many championship seasons before.
Thank you,
Now,
Will.
with it go my very best wishes for success in Miami, and it'll be a little warmer down there.
Coach, this is yours, and this is yours, guys, because we had a tough year, but we are together, and I thank you. And I thank you, Bill, for being the best coach in football, and for you guys being the best team in football. God bless you. This is yours.
And And we are going to continue live from the winner's locker room. We'll hear from Coach Walsh. We'll check in with Sam Weish, who they'll be meeting in the Super Bowl in just a moment. Well, we are back inside the victorious locker room of the NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to the Super Bowl for the third time in a decade. Historically, that is so very important to the man I'm with right now, Coach Bill Walsh. Bill, what about the conditions out here in Soldier Field? How'd they compare?
I'm freezing. They made a big issue of it in the Chicago press. The crowd did, and I believe them. It was cold, but believe it or not, it might have been in our best interest.
You had some nice things to say about Joe Montana. Well, franchise in the Southeast. And Sam, I know you have some congratulations to pass along to your former boss, Bill Walsh.
Well, Bill's a great friend, and
I'm sure you prefer finding yourself in the underdog position. San Francisco and Bill has already been installed as a 5-point favorite. Your feelings about that?
They're already 5-point favorites, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. This is a neutral site now. We are going to play this one in Miami. There's no home field advantage. I think probably that's the way it ought to be. That's where we've been all year long, kind of coming from the underside of things.
Look at this.
I've already set you up, Bill. Now let me get through.
You know what? Bill, one of the things I've noticed in the NFL really is sometimes the teachers have an advantage on the students when they coach against them. I remember how Paul Brown, nobody who ever played or coached on could ever beat him. Do you have an advantage, or does the student, in this case Sam Weish, have the edge?
The student has all the answers. I say this honestly, Sam's the most creative coach in football today, and he's been and he's one of the great ones.
All right, Sam, your feelings?
Well, here he comes right back trying to set me up again, Brent. But, you know, Bill and I have a lot of great experiences that we've shared together, and, of course, we think a great deal of each other. And I'm just happy to be part of the Cincinnati Bengal organization for this year, and happy to be in this Super Bowl and playing against another fine team, the 49ers.
All right, congratulations to two outstanding coaches who are the best of friends, but they will not be on that Sunday afternoon down in Joe Robbie Stadium. And we're going to continue live from Soldier Field with our postgame show. I guess we can't be too surprised that Joe Montana had a big day, 3 touchdown passes, and he played that great Cotton Bowl for Notre Dame. But how about this young receiver from Mississippi? What's he doing coming into Chicago on a day like this, Joe, and getting the job done? Jerry Rice.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's one of the best that you're going to see around, and he had a big day today, and hopefully we can just carry it on for 2 more weeks.
Jerry, let's roll up that first touchdown. That's a great move. You froze the defensive back, and then Crum kind of puts his head down and goes through it. Talk to me about it.
Well, just before the play, Joe told me if he throw the ball up, just try to go up and get it. And I went up and I caught the ball, and I was able to go the distance.
How about the cold? Did it bother you at all? You came back with a second touchdown catch in the first half.
It was cold at first, but I think we really kept our composure and just went into this game today and just played hard-nosed football.
Joe, I think the coaching staff here deserves a lot of credit. There was some great motivation at work the last 2 weeks with this franchise.
Well, I think so. You know, Bill really prepared us well, and I think he really took it upon himself to make sure we were ready, not only mentally but physically. And we backed off a little bit, and we came into the game fresh. I'll tell you what, those 5 guys up in front of me deserve a whole lot of credit because they played a good front four today and played well.
You bet. Jerry and Joe, good luck down in Miami with Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the other side of the story, Coach Mike Ditka and his feelings about losing. Well, just a short time ago, he spoke to our Irv Cross.
Mike, you have to be proud of your football team. 13 rookies in your club. You win the Central Division Championship and just 1 game away from the Super Bowl.
Well, that's what I try to tell Merv. I think there's a lot of reasons to keep their head high. I think you got to put things in perspective. I want to congratulate Coach Walsh and the 49ers, their organization. I think that the way they've come on and played, and they've gone through a lot of adversity, is a great compliment to their football players and their coaches and their whole organization. We're proud of our guys. We tried. We knew we had some shortcomings because of the injuries we had, and I don't know, it just didn't work out today. But, you know, in our defeat, we can't take anything away from them in their victory. It was great for them.
All right, and so we'll continue live from Soldier Field, where the San Francisco 49ers have earned the right to go to Super Bowl 23 and play Cincinnati in just a moment. And up the Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers having already been established as a 5-point favorite. Pat Summerall and John Madden, what do you think about the upcoming Super Bowl?
Well, Brent, you know, we did a Cincinnati game the last Saturday of the regular season. We've seen the 49ers a lot this year. In fact, we've never seen them lose this year. I don't know. John Madden certainly is more qualified than I. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm qualified or not, but we did see the Bengals. I was impressed with the Bengals. I mean, they have a lot of firepower, but in watching the 49ers the last 2 weeks, this has been an up and down season. Where you go and you think this team's the best team, and then boom, they get knocked off the next week. Then you think that team is the best, and then they get knocked off, and it's been kind of that season until right now. I think the last 2 weeks we've seen the 49ers, and I think they are right now playing the best football in the NFL, and I think they're the best team we've seen all year.
Quickly, John, what about the two quarterbacks, Montana and Esiason?
I'll tell you, it's going to be great. I mean, Joe Montana is playing as well as he's ever played right now. Boomer Esiason, he was the MVP in the AFC. I think you got a great matchup.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Back to you, Brent. Thank you.
All right, Pat and John, thank you, too. And, it's sort of interesting inside this locker room right now. The San Francisco 49ers came inside. Obviously, they were happy. There was a brief celebration, however. It's almost as though business as usual with this team, and there is still one appointment left before they fulfill their destiny. A win in Miami, and they will be known simply as the team of the 80s. And I think this coaching staff, and certainly quarterback Joe Montana, they want that very, very much. This was a Sunday in Chicago that will be remembered for its horrible weather conditions, but in the end, it was the veteran quarterback, many of whom said he was washed up earlier this season. But Joe Montana came here in the NFC Championship and threw 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Jerry Rice. I'm Brad Butler.
Championship Sunday at NFL Primetime. In the AFC, welcome to the jungle. Sam Weish and the Bengals against Marv Levy and the Bills. The matchups, Boomer Esiason and the AFC's top offense against Cornelius Bennett and the AFC's top defense. In the NFC, welcome to frigid Soldier Field. Mike Ditka and the Bears against Bill Walsh and the Niners. The matchups, Roger Craig and the Niners offense against Mike Singletary and the stingy Bears defense. Who will shuffle their way to Miami? The answer's next on NFL Primetime.
Welcome once again, everybody, to ESPN's NFL Primetime. Hello, I'm Chris Berman, along with Tom Jackson and Pete Axthelman. The 2 pieces of the puzzle have fit into the Miami equation. We know now who is going to the Super Bowl. The champions of the NFC, well, on CBS coming up shortly, it's Murder, She Wrote. But they've already had that this afternoon because in the NFC title game at Chicago Soldier Field, San Francisco murdered the Chicago Bears 28-3 in bear-like weather. These were the 49ers as they won for the first time on the road ever in the Bill Walsh era in the playoffs. And the Bears were close, but finally succumbed to a team that looked to be much better than they. More on that in a moment. But first, the day began with the battle between 2 of the heavies in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. Same record, but the Bengals got the home game because they beat the Bills back in week number 12. Last season at 4-11, the Bengals were bungles in the jungle, with apologies to Jethro Tull. But this year, they always bungled in their jungle because they were 9-0 at home and trying to make it 10-0 against the Buffalo Bills. Riverfront Stadium, they like to see that place. To the Bengals, they were ready to crush them in the jungle. Boomer Esiason with the Tiger Stripes against Jim Machine Gun Kelly, not having dinner together last night. Rough early going for Kelly, off of Harmon's hand. Lewis Phillips, number 24, picks the ball off on Buffalo's first series. Then, very early in the first quarter. No, you're not number 1 yet, Lou, but you got the interception. 1st and 10 from the 9. Next series, Kelly throws behind Tremaine Johnson. Eric Thomas picks it up, returns it all the way down to the 4-yard line. And it was a throw time that Jim Kelly certainly would have liked to have back because it appeared that guys were open.
Well, I don't know whether the ball sailed on him or just got away. It looked like he misread the coverage. Both guys were open. He didn't get the ball. Same results either way.
It wasn't smooth sailing for Boomer Esiason either. Boomer with the throw, Nate Odoms with the deflection, and unsung linebacker Ray Bentley saved the day at the moment for the Bills with the pickoff at the 4-yard line. But then Boomer got on track from the 27. Ronnie Holman is open, and he makes the shoestring catch at the 5, and then on 2nd and goal, Ickey Woods, the man who is getting more famous by the carry. Is he in? Well, is he in? Yeah, they say he's over the end zone. Sam Weish will take it. Ickey does the shake. The Bengals lead 7-0. But Buffalo came right back. They got good field position. Kelly and Andre Reed, and we're tied at 7. Let's go to the line of scrimmage in this ballgame. We talked about on game day the role Bruce Smith would play.
Smith beats Munoz on the 3rd play of the game for a sack. At this time, the Buffalo Bills defense was rolling on the other side of the football. Cincinnati able to blow that big line of scrimmage, take their line, blow the Bills off. get Ickey Woods through the hole.
Yeah, Munoz, Montoya and company doing some blocking. And then the nicest touch pass you'll see aside is to James Brooks. 10 yards. Boomer throwing for 94 yards. He didn't care because the Bengals led 14-7. What about this call? They call face mask on Bruce Smith, nullifying a sack, saying the jersey's part of the face mask. Referee later, away from the play, said it wasn't a face mask. No kidding. But Mark Kelso got the Bills out of trouble with that play. Kelso with the interception. And Buffalo had held once again down to the 29-yard line, setting up a field goal by Scott Norwood. 14-10 Cincy at the half. Defensive struggle in the third quarter. Watch what happens to Ronnie Harmon on the trick play.
Bills open up their full bag of tricks. You see Harmon looking for a hole up the middle, tries to get outside. Fulcher, who spent much of the day in the backfield, helps force him outside, gets the tackle by Thomas.
Now, on the Buffalo side of the ball, can Art still play some defense
I believe Art can still play. He destroys Blados, gets to the sides and grabs him down with one hand.
A scoreless third quarter remained 14-10. Special teams so important in Buffalo's win last week against Houston. Watch Lee Johnson's punt. Jennings really doesn't get a piece of it, but it stops like a great chip shot on the 1-yard line. And on the next drive, it gets only a few yards at Buffalo to punt. The next play, they fake the punt. They call it the Buffalo punt. Turk Schonert in as the quote blocking back. Hands to Stanley Wilson. Sam Weish, he couldn't do the quick huddle, but he's pumped up because the first down on the play. What kills the team are mistakes. Shane Conlon with a big play would have set up a 3rd and 8 situation. And if they had held there, it would have been a 17-10 game. But Gene Barth called personal foul. Derek Burrows against Tim McGee, and this, whether he was thrown out or not, which he was, isn't the point. This is ridiculous.
Tremendously stupid move. No retaliation like this is ever going to do you or your team any good.
So they get the first down after the penalty. They try one play. The gun blows. They go to the fourth quarter, and then Ickey Woods powers it over. So instead of maybe 17-10, it's 21-10. Burrows is on the sideline, and the Bills are out of the game. Ickey Woods, second most carries he's had this year. He had 30 earlier against the Jets, 29 carries, 100-yard day today. Kelly would not give up. He had Trumaine Johnson for 26 yards. Kelly threw for only 163 yards today. Obviously, yards tough to come by against both defenses on this day. But twice in the drive, the Bills were close, but no cigar. The clock continued to go on a dead ball situation following the incompletion of Harmon. Finally, Gene Barth says, you know what, let's just get rid of the clock altogether. At 4th and 10, last gas, down by 11. Although there's plenty of time left in the game, the overthrow, Fulcher, though one of the few times he's not on the line of scrimmage, Tommy makes the interception. And Marv Levy's Super Bowl dream this year is going to go awry. Meanwhile, Eddie Brown going home, played college ball Miami, lived down there. Sam Weish and David Fulcher, the villains, a year ago on the play in week 2, in which the Niners hit Rice. It was Fulcher was beaten. Weish that took everything for a year. They're throwing Gatorade on each other. Boomer Esiason goes off the field, the Super Bowl quarterback. Sam, yeah, you were 4-11. Your team is 12-4. Make it 14-4. And Miami bound. The final in Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals 21 and the Buffalo Bills 10. Key moment in the game. We pointed out the Burrows ejection and the 15-yard flagrant foul. After the game, Jim Kelly spoke for his teammates about the Burrows play.
I don't know. I'm not going to start pointing fingers at anybody. It's something when you get caught up in the game, you want to win so bad, you try to do everything you possibly can. There's no doubt today we were dumb and we were dirty. Well, I guess I really shouldn't say dirty, but you know, when you're out there fighting and you want to win so bad, sometimes it gets the best of you. But I think we were out there and everybody gave it all.
Timmy just kept saying, you know, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to get this guy. And I'm like, you're going to get good, all right, you can get him. But and sure enough, he got him. And I don't know what was going on. All I know is that Timmy was doing his job, and Derek was probably very upset about it. And I think that was a very crucial play in the game. There's no question about it.
And some scuffling in the Bills' locker room after the game involving Errol Tucker, one of the kick return men, involving Joe Devlin, some of the veterans on the Bills. Can't believe that a tough effort, they were taken out of it like that, but they were low-keying that after the ball game, but apparently it did happen. Tommy, you said earlier on game day, the Bills know what it's like to be undefeated at home since they had to take Cincinnati's crowd out of the game, and they couldn't quite do it.
Difficult task. We talked about the fact that they would have to score early. When I asked the Bills how many points you'd have to score, they said 25 or more. They got 10 today. That burden fell on Jim Kelly. And I think early in the game when he threw the 2 picks in the first quarter, he kept the Cincinnati crowd in the football game, although he did respond with a couple of drives. And then the second quarter, midway through the second quarter on, the field position just killed him. It was atrocious.
Well, speaking of atrocious, I'm tired of telling you guys or you viewers, Sam Weish happens to be a brilliant coach, and he showed it again today. A fake punt. And at the end, when everyone in the world thought he would sit on the ball and run like he did against Seattle, instead, he was throwing those short passes. Had Boomer throwing those short passes. crossing up the Bills and keeping the game safe. White outcoached Marv Levy. As for Marv, he just got a little conservative. When you're first and 10 on your own 1, and you run 3 line plunges, you're not going to get a first down. It's so conservative. Marv's a history buff, and I know he's reading The Last Lion, the latest biography of Winston Churchill. And if Churchill had used Marv's strategy, he wouldn't have made the stand at Dunkirk. It would have been at Staten Island.
Well, I tell you what was an island. The Bills' running game must have felt like that. Now, let's give Cincinnati's rush defense some credit. This is a defense that ranks 15th overall on the season, and definitely the worst of the 4 on paper going in. Against Seattle, they give up 18 yards rushing. Against Buffalo, they give up 45 yards rushing. They certainly did the job. And Buffalo, they worked so hard last week not to get caught in the retaliation penalties against Houston. They forgot their lesson this week, and it cost them the game. Super defense. Bengals in the playoffs have been much better than the Bengals in the regular season. We'll be back.
You might expect a guy who flies a jet like this to drive a jet like this, the Mazda MX-6 GT. If you also expect it to fly through the wide open spaces, you're right. But you probably don't expect to find all this wide open space inside. I guess that makes it the one sports coupe which flies in the face of convention. The Mazda MX-6 GT, sports coupe the Mazda way.
What dry was. What dry is. Introducing new Michelob Dry Beer. It's brewed longer to start bold, finish clean, and refresh completely. New Michelob Dry. One taste, and you'll drink it dry.
At UPS, we're changing the look of the international delivery business. Because now, UPS delivers to every country in Western Europe, the Pacific Rim, Down Under, and Canada. And because we're so efficient, we can deliver your international parcels and documents for fewer francs, yen, or drachmas than other companies charge. An accomplishment we feel deserves a little flag waving. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
You know, thrifty car rental is thrifty price for everyone.
Well, Henry, this is a good deal. Sign it.
It's an offer you can't refuse.
Sign it.
Why don't you get a larger car to entertain friends?
Now I'll sign it.
Enjoy the luxury of a Chrysler New Yorker, just $34.95 a day at Thrifty. 72-hour advance reservation required.
Go ahead, make my reservation. It's simple. Call 1-800-for-cars.
NFL Prime Time is being brought to you by new Michelob Dry. One taste and you'll drink it dry. By Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV. And brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. For worldwide reservations, call 1-800-4CARS.
The Chicago Bears had got what they wanted. They didn't get the fog, but they got frigid Soldier Field conditions. 17 degrees at game time, wind chill with the gusts up to 40, 50 miles an hour against the 49ers. It made it feel like 33 below. Sub-zero conditions. But could the California guys from San Francisco possibly handle it at Soldier Field in Chicago, even with Jimmy Mack back at quarterback? But the 49ers were pumped up. Don't call them a finesse warm weather squad, please. Fans braving the wind chill factor. 49er players came prepared. Biggest staring contest, Mike Singletary and Roger Craig looking head-on. But the surface was the key today, the frozen tundra of Soldier Field. Joe Montana, problems early with the footing, had to take a sack. Jimmy Mack also having some problems. First start over 2 months. Was he rusty? Well, anybody would be rusty on this day. Here he overthrows. He gets belted by Larry Roberts. On this play, the ball is batted down. There, Joe Montana. Took him a while to get his footing. Pressured by Al Harris, having a big year all year for the Bears. And this looked to be a defensive shootout like their Week 8 meeting, which was 10-9. But Richard Dent was on the sidelines in very dapper, civic clothes. And after a scoreless first quarter, Joe Montana began to open up. Here, Jerry Rice makes the reception, steps between Richardson and Todd Crump. He could go all the way. Slip and slide, 61 yards. The Niners lead it 7-0. And Tommy Rice just runs the deep out, and even on this tough foot, he makes the cut that the Bears could not.
Great cut as soon as he gets Richardson turned. He makes him turn all the way around, and I think Crump has to make a better effort to get that tackle because, you know, if you miss it, you're not only missing the tackle, you're cutting off the last defender to the tackle for a touchdown.
Which is what happened. Jim McMahon was forced out of the pocket repeatedly, and this play paid off for the Niners strong safety. Jeff Fuller, one of the hardest hitters in the game, makes the INT. Montana back at work to Jerry Rice on the slant, beating Bestie Jackson for 22 yards. Jerry Rice, 5 catches on the day, a $133 in yards, a pair of TDs. Niners didn't only do it through the air. Tom Rathman, the man that blocked so well for Craig in the single setback formation with a big first down run on a 3rd and 10. And then, money, Montana, Jerry Rice, where they've been the last couple of years in the playoffs, who cares? Where are they this year? They're in the end zone repeatedly. Touchdown, 27 yards, 14-0 San Francisco for Joe Montana. 33 below wind chill, 17 of 27, 288 with 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he was bothered by it. 14-0 before the half. Fagan with the pressure, falls on McMahon, knocked the wind out of him. Tom Zach had to take a couple of snaps. Kevin Butler did kick a field goal, but the Niners led 14-3 at the half. Roger Craig could run. He ran for 11 yards. He had tough yardage against the Bears. It wasn't easy, but he ran for 68 yards and 18 carries. But it was Joe Montana, the money man. Calm in the pocket. Looks for his tight end, John Frank. Touchdown. He didn't play the last time the Bears and the Niners met in Week 8. 21-3 San Francisco, a rout in frigid conditions. Jimmy Mack, the numbers 14 of 29 weren't so bad. Threw 1 interception, but not for a lot of yards. Then Montana to Roger Craig. Roger does some work at the 20, runs outside of the 15 before he's knocked out of bounds deep in Bear territory, setting up his running mate from Nebraska and in the 49er backfield, Tom Rathman, 4-yard touchdown, 28-3. The 49ers rolling over Mike Ditka of the Bears. Dan Hampton, defense, didn't get it done today. And Eddie DeBartolo Jr., Ronnie Lott, 2 guys who have Super Bowl rings from 81, 84. Jerry Rice doesn't have those, but he may have it this time as the San Francisco 49ers drew and quartered the Chicago Bears today, 28-3, becoming the first road team in the 80s to win an NFC championship game. Nobody else had done that. And Tommy, what happened today, I guess, is the 49ers played just about a perfect game.
Well, you love to say it. These are the 49ers.
They were.
Joe Montana, 17 of 27, over 280 yards. They had no penalties. They had 1 fumble by Taylor on the way to the end zone, I might add. This is as close to a perfect football game as I have seen played this year.
I didn't think it was so perfect because I thought the Bears were going to win it. I was with the Bears this week, and I really thought they were ready. Talking to guys like Singletary and Durson, I thought they were ready for a tremendous, intense effort. What I didn't realize, and I think a lot of people didn't realize, is without Dent, they don't have the pass rush to get on Montana. On the other hand, the 49ers have quietly, they're not known as a big, brawling pass rushing team, but these guys, Charles Haley is starting to get recognition, and nobody's ever heard of Larry Roberts. These 2 guys are running stunts on the left side of the line, and they're getting it done.
Yeah, they're not just finesse, and I think people have, like the Vikings and the Bears, and people have realized that the last 6-7 weeks of the season. San Francisco 49ers are a team on a mission, and when they woke up that Monday night game against Washington, except for that Sunday night disaster against the Rams, they really haven't been headed. After the game, it was chilly outside, but there were some warm 49ers with our Jimmy Roberts.
All right, it's a freezing cold Chicago, but I have a feeling it's a little bit warmer for John Frank. John, you played in this kind of weather in college, so I wouldn't imagine it bothered you at all anyway.
Well, I said that coming into the game, you know, if it's cold, it's not going to bother us. And we took the field and we said, oh, we're not cold, but it was darn cold, I'm not going to lie to you. And but the thing was, it's all a mental game, and we took control of the game and forgot by about the 3rd quarter when we were up 21-3, there was a lot of heat on our sidelines.
Normally on a day like this, when it's so cold, when it's so windy, when the elements are so bad, you can't pass as effectively as you did today. It was remarkable how effective the passing game was.
That's really, you know, a tremendous feat, and I give tons of credit to Joe. And in that second drive, he came out and hit Jerry, and it was windy, and the ball was all over the place, and Jerry just concentrated on it. And that was really a big, big confidence builder for us because we knew we could pass.
How much of this was vindication for last year's 13-2 season when you were knocked out right away?
Oh, it's really hard. You know, you go home like that, you feel like you should be in the bowl. But this has been an up-and-down season, and it's built a tremendous amount of character in us, and I'm just happy to be a part of the team.
All right, John, thanks very much. Good luck in Miami. Okay. Bringing in somebody else right now who has a little bit of something to do with this, Eddie.
Hi, Jim.
Congratulations, first of all. I know it must be gratifying to see a team be so effective on a day when all the talk was how the 49ers haven't won a playoff game on the road. You came in here, you couldn't run against the Bears, so the team passed, and they passed quite well.
Well, they did. We ran, when we had to. The Bears are a great football team. I think coming in here is, and winning this game, the championship game, is a great tribute to our organization. Our guys have done a great job. We've rebuilt over the last 3 years, and nobody's known that. But to keep perennially competitive like I really strive for is just a tribute to the organization, and very gratifying to me.
Does this one mean any more because of the ups and downs of this season?
I think going into this Super Bowl right now, what we went through this year is probably the most gratifying season that I've had as an owner.
All right, Eddie, thanks very much. Congratulations. Good luck in Miami.
Thank you.
Chris Berman, back to you.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. And, of course, the Niners' run really began in '81 when the Niners beat the Bengals. And a little-known fact, when John Frank starts this year, the Niners are 9-1. As far as Jerry Rice, from the regular season to the playoffs, for him, not a great regular season, but in the playoffs, spectacular.
You'll remember this super winner long after today's game. It's the white Westinghouse laundry pair for just $399, and only at the Bassett Furniture Gallery by Top Value in downtown Steubenville. This heavy-duty white Westinghouse pair features a large-capacity automatic washer and electric dryer with over 20 valued features. Score with it now at just $399 for the washer and dryer pair, 1 week only, at the Bassett Furniture Gallery by Top Value in downtown Steubenville.
Grow with us, grow with us, with a health plan. You can grow with
Pro team of Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann bring you the head-to-head action of the 1989 Pro Bowl. Sunday, January 29th, live on ESPN.
Let's go back to the first game today, the AFC game in Cincinnati. And what you saw a couple of times were some very intriguing plays on interceptions, because usually a defender, has only one shot at the quarterback, but not the case. Take a look at these interceptions in the first quarter after Jim Kelly throws an interception. This is what he saw. All-Pro nose tackle Tim Crumrye got a penalty on the play, just totally blocked. That's a block. Boomer Esiason later threw an interception. To watch All-Pro Bruce Smith say, "Oh, we've got the ball. I can block Boomer." Tommy, you ever remember plays like this?
I think that every time a ball is intercepted or a fumble's recovered and you're running it back, somehow you expect somebody on defense to find the quarterback. There's a little extra in that hit.
Not hurt, of course, but maybe block him for 104 yards or something like that. Now, Bruce Smith, we talked about the Bruces. How would you categorize his day today?
Well, this started out as a classic matchup. At the beginning of the day, Bruce Smith came out like he was shot out of a gun. Here you see him going around Munoz first, then throwing him away, getting to Esiason and making the hit on the other side of the ball after he got injured. The thigh injury slowed him down a little bit. He became a little bit tentative. Here you see him being pushed around by the tackle, Munoz and company. And then on the other side of the ball, they were able to do what we expected them to do, which is push the Buffalo Bills by the hole, make them over-pursue. That's half of it. The other half is being blocked.
Nicky Woods, it seems like he's gotten 40 pounds larger as the season has gone on. I mean, I don't want to say looks like Pete Johnson, but boy, he was a workhorse like Pete used to be. Axe,
I thought you were going to say look like me.
Well, I wouldn't do that, Axe. You run faster than he does. You shuffle better than he does. Bills shuffle to the wrong tune today at times.
Well, you talk about poison, and in case you haven't seen this play enough, I'm going to show it to you again. Here's Burrows, Derek Burrows. This is, as Tom said, a stupid play. Losing your poise at a time like this nullified a big Shane Conlon stop, and Levy had a few things to say about it, and Joe Devlin had a lot to say about it, as well they should. This was... you don't play like this. And they had not only one, but two. He got thrown out of the game, and Rob Riddick came on with his own stupid 15-yard penalty, and fittingly enough, here they are together.
Boy, you talking about us? One thing, you have to wonder, Week 14, when Buffalo lost to Tampa Bay 10-5, Did that cost them a trip to the Super Bowl? They might have been home today. But we're not trying to take anything away from the Cincinnati Bengals, who earned it. They did it the old-fashioned way. They earned it. We'll be right back. Super Bowl winners in the 80s, most of the time, are NFC. The Bengals know that. They want to change that. We'll be back.
It's beautiful. Is it fast? Very quick. As a matter of fact, the guy didn't know what to think. When Mulholland does 4 curves.
While others describe luxury car performance with words like terminal velocity and lateral G-force,
Like it's on rails.
owners of the Acura Legend Coupe tend to be a little less technical.
It's a blast.
According to a national survey, employers are looking for people who can handle heavy responsibilities. People with the ability to overcome obstacles, perform under pressure, and work well with others. Men and women with the pride and self-discipline it takes to reach new heights. Which is why some of the most successful people in the white-collar world start off green.
The modern era of the San Francisco 49ers, as we mentioned a short while ago, began in 1981 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, it really didn't actually begin there, but it was culminated by their Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 16 in Pontiac, as Joe Montana was simply brilliant. The Niners led 20-0 at the end of the first half. This completed a 92-yard drive, a pass to Earl Cooper. At this point, the Niners led 14-0. They led 20-0. Kenny Anderson of the Bengals within 20-7, 4th and goal. The famous goal line stand by the Niners. Reynolds, and there's Lott there playing a corner 42. Dan Buns, Forrest Gregg was coach then. And you know what happened? It was 26-21. Ray Wersching with 4 field goals in that game. Common opponents this year. That's ancient history, although there are half a dozen players on each team. They both played the Raiders. The Bengals killed the Raiders. The Niners lost to the Raiders this year. They both beat the Skins. The most important game for the Niners all year was the Redskins. They both clobbered the Chargers. And the Seahawks, San Francisco clobbered and Cincinnati won too. So common opponents you can't really tell much by. We're excited because you have the 2 best offenses in football. What type of game do you think, Tom?
Well, even with less than an hour to think about it, you start getting excited. Esiason versus Montana, Brooks against Woods and company, the offensive line against the defense of the San Francisco 49ers, which have shown they can really play. And as an AFC alumnus, I have to be glad that there's a team in it that I think can really, really win this game.
Well, you're not mentioning the last couple of years. No.
No.
What do you think, Axe? How do you size up the game?
I think it's great because it's a matchup of the only 2 coaches that ever shook hands before a game was over. When in last year's famous game, when Walsh went out before they kicked the extra point, when the game was still tied. But speaking of things before anything's over, right after the games, I made the line 4.5. But I'll guarantee you, San Francisco 4.5, obviously. But I'll guarantee you it will go up because people, they get on that ferry from Sausalito and they start thinking about this, and the minute they get off at Fisherman's Wharf, they're on the phone betting more.
Well, they start sipping that fine wine and they're ready to play the 49ers. And as you know, in the 80s, most of the time, the Super Bowls have been blowouts. We shall see. Now, the last time they met, 49.1 rating, the all-time TV rating for the Super Bowls, and we'll see if it is even higher this time. Maybe the points will be higher at Joe Robbie Stadium. Sam Weish, once the quarterback coach in '81 of the 49ers. Now he has a chance to coach against his old mentor, Bill Walsh. They're the Super Bowls in the 80s we were talking about. Maybe this will be different.
You know, if I've discovered one thing from driving this new Mazda 929, it's this. Not only does it measure up to the great cars of the world with its luxury and quiet, it more than measures up when you introduce it to your favorite piece of road. The new Mazda 929, a high-performance luxury sedan, the Mazda way.
In 3 words or less, tell us why you prefer Thrifty Car Rental.
You don't have to be wealthy or well-known to rent any of Thrifty's new Chrysler cars. Thrifty is...
May I remind the affiliates we may run a little over tonight.
Enjoy the luxury of a Chrysler New Yorker, just $34.95 a day at Thrifty. 72-hour advance reservation required.
Have you ever noticed how some people can't come out and say thrifty price for everyone? Have you ever noticed that? Call 1-800 for cars.
Tony, the Postman Thornton. and Mike Kinley battle for the USBA Middleweight Championship as Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing, Tuesday night, live on ESPN.
NFL Prime Time has been brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. For worldwide reservations, call 1-800-4CARS. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV.
And our congratulations, of course, to the 49ers and Bengals. We're looking forward to the Super Bowl, and we hope you join us because our game day continues. Next Sunday, we'll be live in Miami, 11:30 a.m. That's a week before kickoff. And then, of course, we continue with Super Bowl Sunday game day. That'll be an hour at 11:30 a.m. on the day of the game. And after the ball game, 11 to midnight Eastern Time, we'll have everything you wanted to know about the game but didn't know while watching it. And SportsCenter will be live at 7 and 11:30 all week long for Miami. So if there's any tidbit you need to know about the Super Bowl, I think you ought to watch us here at ESPN. We're looking forward to it. And Tommy, Cincinnati, what do you think?
As I reflect on what they've done this year, from 4-11 last year to the Super Bowl this year, I just see a team that's in the right mindset to go and do something in Miami.
Well, I just want to be called Solzhenitsyn because these playoffs are over. They have been so horrible. I've been released from the gulag.
And a reminder, Joe Montana, future Hall of Fame quarterback. He's looking the part, isn't he? 49ers and